Hey everyone, I'm Mason. Welcome back to my channel. Or you're just probably new here, let's be realistic. I'm putting this on my GoFundMe, so unless you're already a subscriber, you're finding this on the GoFundMe, which if you have donated, thank you so much. Or if you have shared this post or even just viewing it, literally, thank you so much for like taking a moment of your time to like listen to my story. Um, yeah, I greatly appreciate you very, very much. Just seriously know that. It was very hard for me to post that GoFundMe. For the longest, I was like a GoFundMe when I got my surgery date wasn't even like that wasn't even in my mind. I was not like I'm going to crowdfund this top surgery. I was very much just like, oh, my insurance will cover it. It didn't dawn on me that I obviously have like a really high deductible because I honestly don't need insurance for anything. When I first got my surgery date and stuff, and they were like, okay, yeah, here's like your insurance should cover it. You obviously just have to pay your deductible, which at the time it was like 6,900 like 80 something dollars because I barely use it. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Okay. And I do have an emergency fund, and I used my emergency fund to put the deposit down because the deposit for the surgery date was $1,000. But that also covers like all the appointments, all the post-op appointments, and like a year's worth of supplies for my scars afterwards. So it's a pretty good deal, I think. But I did have to pull from my emergency fund to pay that. And I technically have enough saved in my emergency fund to pay for this surgery. But then how am I paying rent? How am I buying groceries? How am I paying for my cat's food while I'm recovering from surgery? You know what I'm saying? Like I would still need I don't know why I didn't think about that. And it literally clicked like a couple of I think like about 2 or so weeks ago, I was kind of like, I think I might need to do a GoFundMe. So I kind of felt a lot of guilt, honestly, putting a GoFundMe out there because I was like, I should be able to just pay for this and I should just be able to like work and save up. But I was like, let me just put some feelers out. And if anyone's willing to donate, which if you have, thank you so, so much. Because I can feel like the stress melting away literally as I see more of that coming in. I'm like, oh my God. And I think at the time we are recording this, I have like hit like $500, which is insane. That's like literally a crazy insane amount. I honest to God thought that maybe I would get $100 out of this. I'm so serious right now. I'm not trying to act humbled. Like I was like, no one's gonna fucking donate to this thing. So that literally blows my mind. And in case you don't know how a GoFundMe works, you're able to immediately start withdrawing it. And so I did withdraw and I stuck it in a high yield savings account. So hopefully we can like compound interest this bitch and just kind of help us snowball towards this goal of 7K to help pay for it. And I even called my insurance yesterday and I was like, just making sure like I'm not crazy. Like y'all cover this, but I still got to pay like X amount. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, no. So thank you if you donated or if you shared. I wanted to make this video for those who have known me from the past. And maybe you've seen me and you're like, whoa, this is a whole new person than like I remember them being. And so you're if you're sitting there and you're like, huh, that is like it never crossed my mind that Mason is trans or anything like that. If you're in that boat right now and you're like, that's interesting, I kind of wonder how that snowballed. This is the story of I'm here to tell you how that happened. And I would like to first and foremost say, if you met me like in high school or in college, maybe not so much in college, but like for sure in high school, if you met me in high school, I just want to know you did not meet me. That was a completely separate person. You do not know me at all. Although I made some great friends in high school, I really, really did. Um, but like, yeah, if you for sure met me like in high school, college era, you really did not know me. I've always known, this is like so cliche sounding, I've always known, I've just always known that I was like meant to be like more masculine, presenting like a guy, a boy, what fucking whatever, however you want to put that. Since I was like a little kid, like I dressed much more masculine growing up as a kid. My parents always let me like wear like boy clothes, like swim trunks, whatever. And I remember I asked my mom about this, and I was like, "Did you ever like worry like when I was a kid, like?" Because I don't remember you like ever forcing me to like wear a skirt or to wear like girls' clothes. My mom was like, I was kind of thrilled that you guys picked boys' clothes because boys' clothes are more like conservative, like girl, like child girls' clothes are like shorter and stuff. And she's like, I didn't like that at all, so I was happy that you were okay with wearing basketball shorts and shit like that because it was less revealing. So my parents never pushed like a gender norm on me. I remember like being younger and like dressing up to go out places, and I would have my sister with me, and I would be like, before we went anywhere to go play on the playground, I would ask her, I'd be like, okay, who do I look like today? Do I look like this is so cringe to think about as an adult. But literally, we'd be getting ready, and I'd be like, okay, who do I look like today? Do I look like Martin? Martin, because there's a TV show called Martin Mystery, and I fucking love that show. And I was like, Martin, Danny Phantom. Okay, can you see like where all these names are coming from? And I was like, who do I look like today? Like a Martin or a Danny? Like what vibes do I give off? And she'd be like, oh, Martin, or I think you should go with this name. And so then when we were on the playground as kids, and I want to say she picked a code name too, but we would tell these kids, I'm like, hey, my name is Ryan, or hey, my name is Martin, like on the playground. And I would get so mad at my mom when inevitably I'd make friends with a lot of guys, and their mom would be like, hey, let's swap numbers so we can like have a play date with our kids. And my mom would have to be like, she is a girl. Her name is not Martin. And I would get so mad at my mom. I'd be like, Mom, oh my God, just imagine with me, please, please. And I'd get so mad at her, and she'd be like, why do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, but I used to do that all the time, and I'm sure I drove my mom insane because it was always probably so awkward for her. But I get so upset at her for that, and I'd be like, why can't you just play along and just let me be your son Martin or whatever the fuck? I kind of discovered what trans was in middle school. Me and my friend would like be up on YouTube, and I would have I'm not going to name this friend because I don't know if he wants to be named or whatever. And he discovered before I did, and he showed me internet videos. To put it out there, as you've gathered, I'm sure you've gathered, I am older than YouTube and Google. So growing up feeling these things, I did not know that there was like a search engine or anything for me to Google said feelings into and for it to maybe help me out. And so my friend here, he was like, hey, I think I found a video for us. And I think it was honestly Skylar, which if you're in the trans space, you know who that is. I think it was honestly Skylar. Is his name Skylar or Skylar? I cannot remember. I'm going to put his name up here. But we found his like transition video timeline, and I was like, oh my God, like you can actually, like I can actually be a guy. I can actually be a boy. Like this is amazing news. And I remember going home and telling my mom this, and I was 11 years old was when I came out. I was 11 years old. I remember I told my mom this, and I was like, great news. I found a way to fix everything. And she like listened closely, and she was like, okay, I can't do anything about that. That's a decision you have to make when you're an adult. And I do respect that decision. But her telling me that, I was like, oh no, okay, I can't be that person. So what do I do? And I kind of like shoved that part of me like far away because also I was a kid and I probably had a goldfish brain at the time. I just did not remember. But I shoved that part of me away for literal years, okay? Absolute years. Because I never brought it up again. Because I was also a people pleaser growing up. I did not want to make my parents upset, and I was like, if being a girl makes them happy, I'll just keep doing that. And if I guess one day when I'm an adult, if I want to, I will. And here we are. I did. Okay, so that was like the timeline. Elementary school came out at 11. Suppressed that. I was like, I got to be a girl to fit in. So I was very uncomfortable all through middle and high school. If you knew me in high school, you knew I did band. But if you knew me like in real life, you knew that I did theater. And I've done theater all through middle school. I kind of stopped in high school a little bit because it got too crazy. I couldn't do like community theater and marching band. That was a little insane. And my parents were like, you need to pick one. What do you want to do? And I was like, band, because obviously all my friends I see in band are the people I see every single day. Whereas all my friends I saw in the theater, I only saw like 2 or 3 times a week and then on weekends for performances. And I was like, okay, I want to do band because I need that friend circle more. And I, honest to God, thought that I was going to go and major in music, but I did indoor drumline after I got out of high school because I really liked the aspect. I was in percussion. I really liked it was my favorite things. It was percussion ensemble and theater mashed into one, and that's what WGI for drumline is like. And I really enjoyed that. And so I did that for 2 years, and I was just burnt the fuck out. I think my first semester of college was the last year I did Winter Guard. And at the same time, I was taking a music theory class. Props to you if you're a music major. The hardest class I've ever taken in my entire fucking life. And it was like not even like music theory one. It was like intro to music theory. Fuck that, bro. Fuck that. That was so hard. I was like, full stop. I'm done with music. I am so burnt out. I don't want to do music at all. I barely touch a piano now. I'm looking at my piano. She's sitting there all sad. Don't look at me, girl. But I was so burnt out that I flipped to theater in college. I was like, let's just get back into theater. Let's just see what it's like, you know? And then the theater I did as a childhood, that director had opened like another theater, was still doing stuff, and was like, hey, you should come out and audition. And so I started doing community shows again. And I remembered why I loved theater so much as a kid was because I didn't have to be me. I didn't have to be the girl I grew up with. I could be whatever character I was assigned to for that show. I missed that feeling, so I went back to theater in college and I started taking theater classes. And I met some really incredible people in that class, and I had a phenomenal director. Oh my god, phenomenal director in college. Love her so, so much to this day. But when Stranger Things came out, and obviously in season one, Millie Bobby Brown had a shaved head, that really kickstarted like the girls buzzing their head movement. And I was like just Googling into that, and I was like, yes, I love everything this stands for. And so at the end of my first semester of college, I was also just like very shy and I had really long hair and I was like just like very into myself. And I was like, I want to shave my head for summer. And I was like, no, let's step outside of my comfort zone. I was like, let's shave my head before my last class. Like I need to like just I want to step outside of my comfort zone. Like I am going to be uncomfortable, but I need to get used to people looking at me if I'm obviously going to shave my fucking head. And so before my very last final in my acting class, I remember I buzzed all my hair off. That was insane. I'll insert photos. Um, and I stepped into class, and my theater professor goes, "Oh my God, this is so you. For the first time in the entire semester, I can actually see you for who you are, and you're like, your face is lit up, like you are radiating, like this is supposed to be you. Like this is you. I'm seeing you for the first time." And I was like, so taken aback. I was like, oh my God, because I was kind of like, I kind of feel the same way. Like I love this short hair. I never enjoyed having long hair. And so, yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, yeah, I love this. This is so much more freeing and so comforting, and I love it so much. And from that point on, I kind of started playing with like non binary terms and started like, people would be like, well, what are your pronouns? And I'm like, oh, she, they, like they, them. Like I started going by non-binary pronouns, and I just started dressing a little bit more like androgynous and masculine, and just kind of like starting to wear more of what I've always wanted to wear, like more like skaterish stuff. More like I wear like band tees 99% of the time. And then COVID happened in 2020, and say what you will about COVID. Honestly, best year of my life. Best year of my life. I'm sorry, I'm an introvert. You're telling me I got a whole year where I could just sit in my room and not interact with the outside world? Sign me the fuck up, bitch. I was thriving during COVID. Okay. Anyways, the end of 2020, 2021, things started to open, and I was like, okay, I need to get a job. I need to start looking for some things. And I remember this moment of like standing in my closet, looking at all the clothes I had acquired, and like in my childhood closet, I have like two rows, like pretty big, and then on the side, I have like a smaller section. And I remember I kept all my like feminine clothes right there. And I remember like turning to look at them with like, I was like, I want to light this world on fire. It's all the clothes I hate. I hate that they make me look girly. And I just remember sitting there and I was like, I don't want to go out into the world, because if I go out into the world, I have to dress like a girl. And I hate dressing like a girl, and it makes me so fucking uncomfortable. Um, and I was just like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. And that's when I got a therapist and I started talking to her about that. We started, she wanted to do, I think it was like, it's either EDMR or EMDR therapy. It'll take about 8 weeks before like you see a change. And I'm kind of a pessimist, and I was like, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Let's try. I have nothing better to do in my life. Literally the first session, we get into it, and I kind of go back into childhood, and I start being like, oh, well, this is like when I don't have anxiety. And she's like, well, like, what do you see? And I'm like, oh, I see myself being happy. People see me as a guy, that makes me really happy. And she's like, well, why is that? And we started talking, and I was like, and she's like, well, I've never asked you, like, what are your pronouns? Like, do you go by she, her? And I'm like, that doesn't really feel right. But like, also they them makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Like, that's just not. And like, I kind of like had like a step back moment when I was like, oh no, oh no. And I was like, oh, I think I know what this means. I didn't tell her that. And then she was like, okay, just like sit on that. Good work. Like, let's think about it. And I immediately opened TikTok after that session and went back to Old Reliable, FTM, trans. And I started like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through all these like trans creators. And I was like, oh my God, no, I am trans. Oh no, oh, I am trans. No. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. And I remember the first person I told was my sister, and she was just kind of like, yeah, okay. And then I told my friend group, and all of them had the same reaction. They're like, yep, glad you finally came to that conclusion. And I was like, what the fuck do y'all mean? And they're like, well, Mason, yeah, like that, yeah, that's you. That makes sense. And part of me was like, when were you bitches gonna tell me? But like, you can't tell someone they're like trans or they're gay or like whatever. That's not sociably nice. You should not tell someone, hey, I think you're trans. Don't ever tell someone that. Don't ever be like, hey, I think you're gay. That's not your fucking place. That person has to decide for themselves. And I'm very happy my friends did let me figure that out. I need to go back because this is where it all starts to kind of get fuzzy for me. I believe I came out as Mason in around March of 2022, and I did not tell my parents. I came out to like my friends, to my siblings. I started coming out to like some closer cousins, and then I came out at the end of that year. I did, which is the last theater show I've done, was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and that show was set to open in March-ish of 2023, and I was like, okay, I have until 2023. I'm sorry, I have until March to come out to my parents because my name is going to be Mason in the playbill. So they got to know. They got to know what's up. And I came out to my parents using a PowerPoint and like whatever. And they're like, okay, it's like a lot to take in, blah, blah, blah. They were kind of okay with it, but like I hadn't told everyone else in my family yet. So they didn't really call me Mason, which is understandable because they were like, you need to tell people, like, that's not our job. Like, you have to tell people that you're trans. Like, we cannot tell them that. And so part of me was like, thank you. But part of me was like, fuck, like, I got to step more out of my comfort zone. And so that's why I've never really, like, I hesitated on coming out on social media because I was very afraid of what my grandmother was going to think of me. So that was in March of 2023. And I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, literally. I was set to move out in September of 2023. That's when the house I'm currently living in became available. My friend was like, my best friend from childhood was like, hey, I have an opportunity for us to move in together. And she was like, I think we can move in September of this year. And I was like, that's amazing, because I wanted to start on testosterone. And while my parents were okay with me being trans, I still like, even to this day, I don't really talk to them a whole lot about my transition because there is kind of like, they're like more on like the conservative Christian side of the spectrum. So I didn't really want to rock the boat, and I was living in under my parents' roof, and I in my head was just like, I feel like it'd be rude of me to start my transition medically in their house. And so in my head, I was like, okay, great. That means in September I can start medically transitioning because I'll be in my own space. I won't feel as rude doing it. When I moved in here in September, another timeline for me was at the end of August, I began the process of name change. I found this website called, I think it was called the Trans Legal Aid of Texas, and they help match trans and like non-binary people to a lawyer who does it pro bono, and you can meet with them and you can help file for a name and gender marker change through Travis County, which is, if you're in Texas, that's the county you're going to want to file through if you want your shit to be changed. And they had like a Zoom call coming up, and they're like, yeah, get on the Zoom call. We'll match you with a lawyer if we have time. So I joined the Zoom call like 30 minutes early. I'm like, I want to get in there. and I met with this guy, and he helped me fill out all the paperwork, and he also helped me fill out like an inability to pay form, which, if you can see a theme with me, I was like, I can't afford that. And he's like, yes, but if you could get that waived, wouldn't that be nice? And I was like, you're so right. And I was able to get it waived, so I didn't have to pay the $300 to file it, thank God. But he helped me, and at first I was like, let's just do Mason. Like, I'm not on hormones. Maybe we shouldn't do it. And he's like, do you want to be on hormones? And I'm like, yes. And he goes, do you want to file this twice? And I'm like, he's like, it's a long process. And I'm like, no, you're right. And he's like, so I'm going to file you name and gender marker. And I was like, okay, if we think that's going to work. And he was like, you should hear back in like 4 to 6 months. And I was like, that's a reasonable timeline. I completely understand. And so in my head, I was like, 4 to 6 months. This is the end of August. I moved into my house in September. 2 weeks go by, and I get the like confirmation from the judge. It's been approved. They're like, yep, here you go. Name and gender marker changed. You're good to start. Like, fill out this order form. It's like $5 a copy to get like a bunch of copies, and start the process. And I was like, oh my God. And in my head, I gave myself the 4 to 6 months timeline. Like, when I get this changed, then I'll start on testosterone, so it'll be real. But I got it changed in 2 fucking weeks. I was like, oh shit, I can really get this ball going. Also, it is a long, long process to change your name on any government form. I mean, I'm in 2025. There's still things I have not updated my name on. I'll be so for real with you, because it's just, there's so many little things. But that's when I changed my name legally, was in September 2023, in my gender marker. And then I got on hormones, because then I updated my ID and my social security card and my banks and my everything. And I was like, okay, if I have male on all of these, I want to start looking the part. And so I found, I was going to do Planned Parenthood, but the Planned Parenthood by me, there's always protesters outside of it. Classic Texas, I know. I found Folks, who I use to this day, and I love them. And I got my testosterone through there, and I started in October of 2023. And then I changed everything over in like March of 2024. And then I've just been living as Mason, pretty much fully out and about. But that's kind of my really long timeline of, if you haven't seen me in a minute, I know it's a long video, but it was going to be long regardless. So, but that's if you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen him in a minute. This is a whole new person. Bitch, this is me. This is who I've always been, can't speak, I've been talking too long. This is who I've always been meant to be. And it feels really great. But yeah, you can follow me here on this YouTube channel. If you want, you can follow me on my Instagram. I'm probably going to change the handle to match this channel, so it's just easier to find me over there. I post more-ish. I need to post more-ish over there. But that's where I usually post, is on Instagram. If you want to follow me, if you want to reach out to me, I'm more likely to respond on Instagram than any other social media platform. But yeah, thanks for following. Thanks for following and or donating. That's what I meant to say. If you have not donated, and if you are interested, I'll link it down below. If you're watching me via my GoFundMe, sharing this page would mean a lot to me. So yeah, thanks for following along. That's the story of how Mason became to be. That is how I am making Mason. So, hell yeah, brother. I don't know how to end this video, so I'm just end it here. It's going to be a hell of a time editing this. Oh my God. But thank you for following along, and I will see you in the next video.